The latest news, updates, and more from the world of health and medicine. This is Medical Minutes with Wish TV's medical reporter, Dr. Mary Gillis.
Joining us in our newsroom now, we have Annalise Madison. She is a doctoral candidate at The Ohio State University and author of a brand new research paper. Annalise, great to meet you.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Absolutely. So you and your colleagues have a new paper accepted for publication in Perspectives of Psychological Sciences that talks about a certain population that may not be as receptive to the coronavirus vaccine as others. So who are these people and why might they not be as receptive?
Yes, so who are these people and why might this be? So basically what we're finding by reviewing this literature is that people who are having chronically high levels of stress, depression, loneliness, or social isolation, poor health behaviors like insomnia, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, smoking, or even excessive alcohol intake are all at risk for a poorer vaccine response, which could mean more side effects to the vaccine, taking longer to develop clinically protective levels of immune function after the vaccine, or not having protection for as long of a period of time after getting the vaccine. And so these are all potential things that can happen when these risk factors are at play. And importantly, these risk factors can interact with one another. And so somebody who's depressed, you can imagine, might also be more sedentary, not getting as much physical activity, may be isolated from their friends and family. And so these risk factors can interact with one another too. So
from what I understand, health is a multitude of things. It's multifactorial, as you had just mentioned, and it's our environment, it's our social environment, all of those things. And so would you say that anxiety and depression sort of kickstart these other behaviors that are modifiable, but also put us at risk? So can you speak specifically to the depression and anxiety in terms of, does this affect us at the cellular level in terms of the vaccine? Are there chemicals that are either not, what's the word, not released or too many chemicals not released? So can you speak to how that works specifically in terms of anxiety and depression and what's going on there?
Sure, that's a great question. So what happens at the cellular level in individuals who have anxiety or depression? And so there's been a long-standing line of research showing that people with anxiety and depression can have neuroendocrine and immune changes that can be facilitating a poor antibody and T cell response, which are two prongs of the adaptive immune system. And so, even just thinking about higher levels of stress hormones can be playing a role here with these neuroendocrine changes that we see in people who are depressed and anxious.
Mm-hmm. Can you speak specifically to what type of the endocrine system and what is released, what is affected?
Sure. So stress hormones like epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, things like that can all be contributing to these poorer responses. And I should also mention that a lot of the risk factors that we're talking about for poorer responses are particularly common right now during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so that was one of the goals behind this review, is that we were reading a lot about how these risk factors are particularly heightened right now during the pandemic. And we wanted to show that, kind of unite these two lines of research showing that these risk factors can impact vaccine responses and also that they're heightened right now during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And for instance, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau, U.S. adults in April and May 2020 had triple the likelihood of screening positive for an anxiety or depressive disorder or both compared to adults during the same time last year. And so these factors are particularly relevant right now to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting, of course, that you say that. My doctoral advisor, he told me when I was speaking to him, he came on at one point, he says, if we could describe this time at this, we could describe what's going on now. It's just our culture is a culture of anxiety. So just exactly what you had just said. And it's so unfortunate that these things are happening. And just circling back to the stress hormones, the epinephrine, norepinephrine, the cortisol, is it too much? Is it too little?
Yeah, so when we're in a chronically stressful situation or depression, these stress hormones are elevated, and that can directly affect these immune cells that we're talking about here.
So it's not just the antibodies, but you mentioned we also have these other types of killer T cells, killer B cells, and those might be affected as well.
Right. And so most often the studies that we reviewed did look at antibody levels, which is an important aspect of achieving, clinically protective immune function against the virus. But there are also studies that show that this is true for T cell responses to vaccines as well, which is the other prong of the adaptive immune system. So you have antibodies and the T cell responses. So it appears that across the board that our adaptive immune responses to the vaccine are affected by these risk factors that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. So these risk factors that you had mentioned previously, what can we do? What can we do to stop smoking? It's easier said than done. Boost our immunity.
Yeah, so what can we do given we know that these factors are at play with the vaccine, and some people may be wondering, is it too late? Maybe they're about to get the vaccine and they wonder if it's too late to get a handle on these factors before getting the vaccine. And I would just say in reviewing the literature, there are a lot of even modest and relatively short-term changes that we can make, even just prioritizing these health behaviors right before and around the time that you're getting the vaccine. For instance, making sure that you're prioritizing sleep on the days before and days immediately following the vaccine, prioritizing exercise before you get the vaccine. And if you are having depression or anxiety right now, it's a great time to check in with a mental health care professional about that and to get help with that right now. It just can serve as a wake-up call that now is the time, even though it's been months and months of a pandemic, now is the time to really invest in and prioritize mental and physical health. And so we can have the best chance of responding optimally to this vaccine.
Mm-hmm. So last 30 seconds, what would you like to say? Oh, I know you want to give a special shout out.
Yes, definitely. So I just want to say that a lot of this research has spanned back into the early 90s. And a lot of this research was originally pioneered by my advisor and senior author on the paper, who's Dr. Jan Kiecolt-Glaser, who's the director of the Institute for Behavioral Medicine Research. And she's my research advisor, and as I said, pioneered a lot of this research. And I would just say that I think the hopeful kind of take-home message here is that even though a lot of things seem to be out of our control right now, that it is, I think, helpful to know that there are some things that we can do that are within our control, like prioritizing our mental health and physical health right now in order to have the best response to this vaccine. And so we want to encourage people to get the vaccine as soon as possible. But as they're waiting for it, it's a great time to invest in mental and physical health.
Well, Annalise, thank you so much for your time today and your contribution to science, and we look forward to following this research.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thanks for having me.
Learn more and get more with Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com, and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.